Hey you, so on this video, the Black Swan event that broke Silver's back, I'm going to be speaking on just that in current situation. So if you haven't done so already and you like what you hear slash see, please do go ahead and subscribe. I've got two of my largest sizes, gold and silver, on display today, so we'll get into these two in a moment. So yeah, just speaking on current affairs and what's been going on with the metals. I've recently released a video where I was speaking on metals going up and it was going down. What I was referring to questions when I was getting when they was on the way up, but seeing where we are right now, it's stabilized a little. But I find it very interesting, and the Black Swan event I'm referring to, as we all know, is the coronavirus. But it's one of the main reasons why I don't really follow the charts, do the whole crystal ball thing, even listen to a lot of these type of pundits. I understand many believe and say that it gives an indication, it's not a direct path, but you'd be surprised at how many people believe that is the case. But in any event, you have a Black Swan event happen, as we have with coronavirus. I mean, if you would have had somebody in my comment section, for instance, screaming there's going to be a virus that's going to get everybody on the edge of their seats and we're going to see metals tank, we're going to see pandemonium, a lot of things going on, he would have been ran off as a tinfoil head. No. But here we are with a situation that's happened that has been very interesting, because I've never had more inquiries into food storage, the long food shelf life stuff, and maybe into some gold. And so I see an event like this and it goes to show that, one, it can't be predicted. I can sit here and tell you tomorrow we're going to have an asteroid come and that's going to make coronavirus look like nothing. Anything's possible, prime example. But this most definitely was a Black Swan event. We had indications from doctors giving the warning signs, but 2 months ago or a month ago, who would have saw that a virus could have technically crippled the entire economy? And it's escalating, it's going from one state to another and nobody knows where it's going to land. But as I was mentioning, it's one of the reasons why I don't pay a lot of attention to all these charts. The information, I take it all in and just take a lot with a pinch of salt and move forward from there. But it's these types of things I really like to pay more attention to. The events that get the people moving, the average Joe, because let's face it, the everyday man and woman out there is extremely docile. I've mentioned this before in many of my videos that the smartphones have made them extremely dumb, and just modern day culture, you can call it the reality TV culture or just the nonsense, just the absolute junk culture. We've all been there before we was clocked on. Well, some of us, I'd definitely been there, but I wasn't that deep embedded when we're talking, absorbing in, that much crap in terms of information that's out there. But that's where the everyday person is. And I've chalked it up to, a lot of the events that would have once upon a time got a lot of people shaking and acting exactly how they are right now with coronavirus. And some could say overreacting, and some could say, being responsible. And I think both parties, would be right to a degree. If you have elderly, if you're in contact with elderly, then you're not overreacting in regards to contacting the virus. But if you don't believe you're going to be coming into the contact with any types, but you can't even guarantee that yourself and that you won't be coming into contact. So I think it's good to be cautious. I've always thought that's the case, but people are reacting nevertheless, and they're taking it extremely serious and going to measures where it's affected markets, a lot of markets you wouldn't have thought a virus, well, now we can see has affected. It'll be something a lot of people take into account in the future. But a lot of the things that used to get this type of reaction could have easily been a Cold War, where you're getting a lot of, peacock, feather fluffering from the east or the west or any other opposite sides, that could have led to a backup of the truck, queues outside your local LCS. And I've heard stories like this from a lot of the guys that I've dealt with in the past, dealers, that, these types of things, there's whispers or wars on the horizon. But that does nothing these days. Trump damn near took a dump on Iran's front lawn in the beginning of the year. And, there was people thought there was going to be serious blowback, and others thought it was the best thing in the world and they needed that and there's nothing's going to happen. And it was what it was. But we didn't get nothing in terms of the markets getting a little rocky, people wanting their money here or there, Bitcoin or gold. It was just it was what it was. Nowadays, you label it war on terrorism and it's fine. People absorb it once again, so that doesn't get to market shaking and all the likes of. It's interesting really, because some would say old money's, a lot more of the old money, i.e. the older investors are checking out, i.e. passing on, And a lot of the new money, well, big wealth and new money, are a lot more risk hardened. And, in today's world where you can communicate in the blink of a, tweet or whatever that may be, they're just not falling for it. They need a lot more to really shake their boots. If you're not in a tight country like China, where the government can technically seize everything you've got in a blink of an eye. I'm not saying they can't do it in every country. That's when they can jump and change markets, i.e., the Bitcoin market in the blink. But it doesn't seem to be the case no more. So you look at the situation that we have right now, and it technically wasn't old and new, because China was ground zero here. China was hit. It originated in China, if you believe that. And it's caused a chain reaction. The supply chains are definitely being affected. So, it goes to show once again how heavily they are embedded in a lot of economies around the world. They get hit and everybody's feeling the effects. I've heard of restaurants, damn near Asian restaurants closing up. It depends on who you ask, whether it's ignorant or not, or overreacting. But there's a lot of people overreacting in terms of just Asian people in general. But the country itself's on lockdown. So I imagine all the inventory that's being held back there and all the businesses that need them, regardless of where you are. So we're seeing that effect on the supply chain straight away. So we're getting something that you would have thought you would have got all reactions when you had something like a big, massive bubble burst. So it's very, very interesting. I don't know where we're going to go from here, or whether we'll get something as big as this. But what I do know is that it's definitely a Black Swan event. Nobody saw it coming. And I find it very interesting as to what it's done to the metals. Why I say it's hit silver hard or broke silver's back is because, when we had the spike through the fears of people jumping in, we all saw what metal done better than the others. I've had a lot of conversations and talk with people who liquidated when it touched high, and as I mentioned, I liquidated my platinum at the time, and I'm damn near pat myself on the back for it, seeing where prices have dumped to now. And the stories with silver wasn't, the best. And this is why I've always said, get out there and do a test run if you like. And so who knows what's going to happen. I know a lot of people that believe in the metals have always said it would be this way, gold's going to go first and then silver will rally up afterwards. But it's very interesting to see where it is even right now. Silver, we've got a massive viral pandemic. You would have thought it'd be playing a bigger role than it is right now. We'll have a much bigger. I've been taking my colloidal silver. My family, fingers crossed, don't bump into nothing or, whatever goes bump in the night. But it's interesting just seeing once again what's taking lead and what's holding up a lot better. We had a fantastic rise. Gold was hitting all-time highs and silver just lagged along. So it's very interesting as to what's happening right now. I can't see any difference if we had a recession or economic bubble burst. In fact, I could only see the boys in charge preventing that, because that's something they can prevent. Not saying that they can't prevent this, because it was what it was. It could be we're dealing with preventative measures now. We just had the Fed cut rates and, it's doing a little better. And that's how they can easily come in and manipulate. Who knows? Yes, they can't keep on cutting rates. They can't keep on printing. But believe you me, with such a docile crowd that they're catering to, there's not a lot that they can't do. A lot of people say they can't. In 2008, and many people thought that they couldn't bail out the banks, and yet they done that. Many of your average Joes got wiped out, yet the big boys that create the problems are still in the same places. Money talks and the small man just has to walk. And that's the way I view this all the time. And this is why I've also made the same decision when I'm getting more heavy on the gold stuff, because a lot of the silver stuff is based off heavy emotions I mentioned, and a lot of people assuming what's going to happen when the peep hits the fan, like this is what's going to happen, and they can't. It's the they can't gang that don't really have a hard grasp of what they can do. They can, and as long as the gullible masses lap it up, anything's possible. You can have a channel or be screaming with a tenor at the top of your voice, look, this shouldn't be happening, but it happened. This is illegal, but it happened. You're not even supposed to have money unbacked by gold, yet it's happening every day of the week. They're not to be able to do fractional lending, yet it's happening every day of the week. So the they can't gangs need to take or get a grip and take a look at what's currently happening and stop, basing their decisions so heavy off emotion, start realizing what's happening and the kind of liberties that they're able to take. But looking forward, I'm looking at this and thinking, what type of a copycat event could we see at a later date that gives us the same reactions that we're seeing right now. And I can't see it, thinking off the top of my head of any diseases or viral attacks that we've had recently. There was Ebola and swine flu. And I don't think any took Ebola wasn't originated in China, but, both had the headlines, but none was able to take the markets, i.e. to pull the rug from under the markets like Corona has. So it's very interesting to see, how it's only taken such a hard effect when everybody and anybody believes that they can conduct or get the actual disease and it can affect them. It's all good watching another country get bombed on TV, and the mentality is, as long as it's not happened to me, I don't really care. And that's where it is. This is why a lot of money doesn't even get scared. But as this can affect everybody and anybody on the planet, it's like the number one thing that they're speaking about. They're really acting, and we're seeing that in all markets, really. So it's very interesting. As mentioned, copycats, it would have to be something unforeseen right now that could have the same effect. Recession on a global scale, yes, most definitely. You affect supply chains and you're going to get some serious blowback, and another big global bubble burst. But outside of that, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens moving forward. I've said, currently the death toll, unless it mutates and something really bad happens when you conduct it, in the UK they're saying it's 1%. The average person, young, fit and healthy, needs to be over the age of 60 to be really in any danger. So you can have it right now, have the same flu-like symptoms, ride it out for 2 weeks and not that bad. So who knows what's going to happen. But I know a lot of markets are getting wiped out right now, and a lot of people are, I wouldn't say overreacting, they're acting however they're acting, and some are really looking at their pockets now. But let me know how you think this is going to affect silver, if it does. When I say break silver's back, can it be the metal that exposes silver as gold goes to new highs? We're going to see that when anything comes along, and it's time for the metals to start performing. I've always said, let everyone believe in whatever they want to believe in, and in the end of the day, time will tell who's going to be laughing or crying. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on this video, guys. So that's my take on the current situation. Where do I think we're going from here? Well, if metals drop a little, I still want to do a lot of purchases. I want gold at about £1,000 an ounce or lower. Silver needs to tank quite a bit for me to be considering coming in and look at what's going on. Last year I done a few purchases that I showed on video where I was picking silver up at spot. I had a few people contact me on the recent spot and jump and offer spot purchases, and I politely declined, so it just goes to show where I'm at the moment. But hey, or love it, let me know your thoughts and opinion on this video, guys, and also let me know what you're currently doing and your outlook and view on where we can go from here, up or down, down, or up. So hey, or love it, guys, and let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys on the rebound.